Hi, Lara.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining me on my podcast, Celebs Inspire.
Thank you for inviting me.
And the purpose of this podcast usually is to inspire people to go for their dreams. But of course, we're going to do it differently today. And I want to say thank you for being here. I know that you're grieving right now. You're going through a very big loss of your son, ניתאי. May he rest in peace. And no words could console. I don't want to say any words because no words can justify what happened. So first, I'm really, really sorry. And I'm sure, we're all with you. We're all sorry for this. And I don't know where to start, actually. You're not from Israel, right?
No, I'm originally from South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I made Aliyah in 1995.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never say Chetzi Vrit or the...
You can tell however you want. So you made Aliyah.
I made Aliyah because my whole idea was that I wanted to bring up my children in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
That was my dream.
So ניתאי was born here?
3 of my kids were born here.
Right.
All of them were born here.
Right.
I saw the situation in South Africa. I saw that to live in South Africa was like living in a golden cage. And I didn't want that for my kids. And I had been here previously, and I lived for a year at Kibbutz Tzuba, and for me it was Gan Eden. And I said, Ze ma yesh, I have to come here.
Mm-hmm. So you've been living in Israel. You had your 3 children here, and I heard you speak about ניתאי, saying that he was a very old soul. He was very mature.
Ben Gurion.
And he was the one to say, "Mom, calm down. Mom, let's handle this differently." He was the real mature one, and he sounds like a really old soul.
Yeah, he was my, like I say, that every person has a back, and he was my back. There was, like, God bless me with the 3 kids that I've got. A mother couldn't wish, honestly, I say it from the bottom of my heart, for better children. But my other children, we've got like conflict, which every parent has. And they say, oh, you can do it this way, or you shouldn't do it this way, or you must spend it, but he never tried to change me. ניתאי accepted me as is. Like, he knew my faults, and plenty of them I have, but this was me, and he accepted me. And that was his whole derech in life, was not to change anyone. He was accept everyone as is.
Mm-hmm.
And I now look at my life in a completely different way. It's like the day he died, I got another pair of eyes. I can't explain.
Like his eyes, like
I've
his
got
perspective.
his eyes. Actually, now I see things in a complete different light. I'm grieving, and it's constant, and it's pain. But I feel wiser. I don't know how to explain it. I see life in ניתאי's eyes now.
Wow.
More accepting.
Yeah. You seem to me first of all, a very wonderful woman, a good woman. And I know you've been talking about ניתאי a lot and who he was. But I know you've been also speaking to him a lot, and it's hard. I want to take it to the angle that I want to take it to today is the fact that intuition. You seem to me a very intuitive, spiritual person. Is that true?
I base myself on energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can come into a room and I don't even have to speak to someone, and already the hairs on my head, the back of my head.
You feel everything.
I feel
Right.
I feel it in my work. I work a lot with women, and sometimes in my studio I have someone that I'm in eye contact, and I just say to them, "You okay today?" And they go like yeah, and then afterwards they go, "How did you know?" It's just that I pick up that energy.
And is it possible that because you're so spiritual and you pick up energies, you're able to connect to ניתאי's energy and be more like him? Is that possible?
I think that's what I'm trying to aspire, to be more like him. It would be an honor to be like him. I think that the greatest gift I can accomplish now is try to be like ניתאי. I think it's always like the reverse, that children say, I want to be like my parents, but I want to be like ניתאי. I want to be more accepting. I want to, I can say a bad word. I want to cut through all the bullshit, basically. I don't want to be in a place that I'm not happy with. I want to surround myself with people that are good and people that give me good energy. And I don't have time anymore now to worry about what people think of me. It's their problem, and it's 100%. If you don't like me, it's 100%. It's your privilege.
Right.
But I don't want to be with those people. I want people to accept me as is.
Isn't it funny that when we go through a tragedy in life, or we've suffered a lot, we get to this place
Absolutely,
where we just, we are not going to please anybody anymore, and we just get this center within ourselves, and we are no longer willing to put up with anything.
Not willing to compromise now. That's it. With everything, with my work, with my aspirations, that I want to travel more, that I want to do the things that I always put on the back burner because I'll do it next time. I was always focused on, will I have enough money? What will happen in 10 years' time? And Nittei used to come home and say, Mom, stop with the calculator on the phone. You're not like a poor person. You don't have to. And I used to say, it's not because I'm poor, but I don't want to be in a situation that I'm not in control. And and I need to know that at the end of this month, but now, and if it's not,
when you lose someone you love, it's the ultimate loss of control.
That's what I'm saying. That's like I said, all these years, all I did was try to protect my kids, from them having a cold, from them being going to school, from them getting into the car. Phone me when you get there. This always
I
control.
You were a very
control.
hysteric type of mom.
Yeah, very
right?
hysterical. Very like have to know. Are you there? Are you there? Even the day before he died, I told him when you get to the base, phone me that you get there. Like I needed to be in control.
Right.
And it got me nowhere.
Right.
We are nothing.
Right.
Like you make plans and God chokes. And I was always very connected to God. Like when my kids were born, I only asked him three things: protect my kids, do whatever you want for me.
You said that.
But he didn't want to. And I'm still angry with God. I really am. Our relationship is not like it used to be. But in all this turmoil, I know he's there. It's weird to explain that. I know he's there, and I know that eventually, I really believe. Eventually I'll see why it happened, because at the moment I can't. The pain is too overwhelming, but eventually I do believe I will see the reason that Nittei left, because for me it was like, why him? But maybe he was too perfect. Maybe he had a mission. Maybe he had finished what he needed to finish. Like, that was maybe his mission.
Right.
At the moment, I
don't... Do you believe that everything is written?
I never did. And my ex-husband always says that he believes so much that everything is written, and when it's your time, it's your time. So my answer was, okay, so if it's my time, I'll go and stand in the middle of the street, and if a car knocks me, but it doesn't mean everything is written. If you go and look for to die, you will die, and if it's not written. But if it's
written that you're going to want to do that.
That's what I'm saying. It's
right.
But if it's, that's what people I believe. I just also learned something now, that if you commit suicide, it doesn't mean it was your time. It just meant so you don't get buried in the same place, because it's like going against God's will, because you did something that he didn't really want. So it wasn't your time if you commit suicide. But I believe that now I'm starting to see that maybe it is. When it's your time, it's your time.
I want to take a zoom out, since you're a very intuitive and spiritual woman, and ask you, as a mom who lost her son, soldier son, in the war, how do you see the situation right now?
I'm not angry at the army. Mm-hmm. I'm not angry.
There's not a part of you that says this is senseless, this is useless.
From what I learned from Nittei, is that if we don't do it, we will have nothing left. We won't have an Israel.
Right. But you see that this is years and years and decades of soldiers.
Decades and decades of soldiers falling and people dying, and tomorrow there'll be more. But if we would have done it earlier on and finished what we'd started earlier on, we wouldn't have got into this situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that we're in this situation because us as a nation aren't strong.
Right.
We allowed 7th of October to happen.
Right.
It's only people to blame is ourselves.
Right. So do you believe that our lack of unity brought upon
because we're not unified? And I think that people that are born in Israel almost take Zionism and take Judaism for granted because they don't know what it is to be an outsider looking in. If you're born in another country, you always feel like the outsider because you can have non-Jewish friends, but one time in your life, or maybe many times, you'll hear bloody Jew. Here you don't. You just hear, oh, you Moroccan, you Tunisian, you're there.
Right.
But the bottom line, you're still Jewish.
Right.
And it doesn't really offend you if
Yeah, but
someone's
we have to also be united. And my question to you is...
We're not.
Right. And why is it that, like the mothers of Khatufim are begging us for unity? Why is that mothers that lost their sons are begging for unity? Why is that so clear when, for these people and not clear for us?
It's like I think like you said before, I think you need to find loss before you realize what you've got, what you had.
But how come they realize so badly the unity amongst us and the nation is so crucial for the Khatufim to come back or for all this bloodshed to stop? Why do you think?
I think it's a mother's, or it's a love. It's for your child. You'll do anything. And
right.
and you basically, like I said, I would have prepared to have gone into Gaza and fought side by side with my son. I would have done anything for my child to come back. And I with the hostages, like my heart breaks for the parents that wake up every single day. I've got closure on the death of my son. It sounds terrible, but it's a gift to know that I'm 5 minutes away in the car. I know where my son is buried. The pain and the anguish for the parents that wake up every night and don't know where their children are, if they're alive and dead. It's like every day they're reliving this death.
Right.
I've at least got it's a nightmare.
Right.
And I know what I feel like, and I don't wish my pain on anyone, but I don't wish their pain on myself. I would hate to be a mother or father of a child that's still a hostage, because it's every day is another punch, another smack in the face.
But do you believe that unity can?
But I think if we together and we work together and stop pointing fingers at one another, we can break this vicious circle and we can move on and we can do it. But we can't get anything if we keep on pointing fingers. And that's why
so the sinat chinam has to stop, and we have to unite. So, and that will make our enemies weaker, because they even said that when we were doing all the Afghanot, that gave them power to prepare, and it gave them confidence.
We had a crack it's like having a crack in a glass.
Right.
And the more you put pressure on that glass, the crack goes. And that's exactly what happened. They knew, they studied us, they saw our weaknesses, they saw that we were fighting against each other, and we were blind. We had turned our back on the enemy, and we started to see each other as the enemy.
Right.
And once that happened, they thought this was the time to come in. And 7th of October is an example of what happens when we're not together.
Right. It's tragic.
It's tragic.
Right.
And from that, all this thing just escalated, and it should have finished. I think if we also... The only thing I'm angry is that we were so worried about what the outside world thought about us. If we would have gone in straight away and demolished Gaza, and I don't have any problem, and someone can come and tell me, oh, I don't care. We got back the hostages straight away. The way of doing it was wrong in the beginning, because they were so worried about...
Oh, you're one of those people that says go and just wipe them out?
you don't say, you can say whatever you want, I don't care. Whoever's listening, mamash lo ma'ayon. Wipe them out. We should have done it in the first 2 weeks when we still had the hindsight to know where they were before they got into the...
Right.
And then get the hostages. And then afterwards, once all the hostages were back, then start.
Right.
But now I don't know.
Now there's a lot of loss. There's hostages. There's soldiers who are dying.
These children are gaining
and now
19,
that the soldiers
20.
that come back and they are with amputated legs and amputated arms, their life will never be the same.
But physical is not even the
Emotional,
issue. Emotional.
Right.
I know that the soldiers that with my son, I know how much post-trauma they've gone through. I see it with my eyes. These kids are broken. You can't expect children of 23 years old, 22, 19 to be the same. It's like no child of that age, they're children. I don't care when they're kids. No child of that age has to feel this. Right. Someone told me yesterday that they were at a canyon and someone moved something, there was a noise, and a little girl started saying people are shooting, and everyone went hysterical. The post-trauma of children in Israel, that the slightest noise, and these kids, we're all post-trauma. Sure. It doesn't matter if you lost a child, or you know someone who's lost a person,
or you know that has been injured,
or a soldier that's been injured, or a person that's a hostage. We all are part of this vicious circle. We all post-traumatic, and you see that the nation is mourning.
Right. Absolutely. I interviewed a soldier that lost his leg, and he thought he was dying. He was bleeding, and he didn't know if he was going to make it. And when I spoke to him, I said, "What was the most important thing when you thought you were going to die?" And he said the most important thing was to tell the people that he loves them, the people that he loves, "I love you." And I asked him, why is that so important at a time when you think you're going to die or you're losing someone, to tell them that you love them? Can you connect with that? Do you want to say something about that? Or did you have a chance to tell ניתאי that you love him?
No, never.
Did you used to tell him that you love him all the time?
I told ניתאי every single day of his life, from the day that he was born, and I loved him. Mm-hmm. Not one day. I said, "My angel, I love you." Mm-hmm. I can't explain that.
There's no regrets.
I don't have any remorse that I wasn't a good mother. Mm-hmm. I think that's a blessing. That's also helping me with my grief.
Right.
I can honestly say that ניתאי knew that I was obsessed with him. I'm obsessed with all my kids. So there's never a lack. We've had 4 arguments, me and ניתאי, at the age of 23. And then they really affected me. Not that we spoke for maybe half an hour. And then I put my head down and I went, because it was too much for me. Mm. He never had to think about the love that he had for me and his father. So that's a blessing.
That is a blessing, because I saw an interview with someone that lost his daughter on October 7th, and you could see his guilt, that he says, I'm not sure I was the best dad, and you could see how much he's suffering with that.
I was the best mom.
Mm-hmm. So that gives you closure in a way.
Gives me closure. I told him I loved him at 10 o'clock on Thursday morning before they took away his phone. The way that you say that you like I felt 2 weeks before ניתאי died, I had a feeling he was going to die. It was the worst feeling. That's the only thing I'm angry with myself, that why didn't I fake like I was having a heart attack?
Right.
Why didn't I tell him that there's no ways that you're going, I forbid it, and you're not going into the army? Because I had this terrible feeling that he wasn't going to see his birthday. And then he saw his birthday. And then I thought, okay, just imagine it.
Right.
But the other day I thought, okay, I would have told ניתאי not to go. He wouldn't have gone. Mm-hmm. Then the פיגוע, or the terrorists would have killed other soldiers of his plugat.
Right.
Then he would have looked at me, and either two things: he would have hated me so much that I didn't allow him to go, and it would have affected our relationship further on, or he wouldn't be able to look at himself in the mirror, and his brilliant personality and his outlook on life would have been changed, and he would have been a different person from that. So,
right, I understand the dilemma.
Maybe I would have scarred him more than
right. But it's amazing how you had a feeling like you knew, and then the day of the tragedy, you went and got a tattoo of Israel, right?
I had the tattoo a month ago of Israel, but it was empty. It just had the map, and when they asked me, when I went with my friend, she had just the map, and I said, I need a word. And she said, why do you need a word? I said, because I don't like it just sitting there. And she said, what word? I said, I can't think of a word. I said, you know what? Unbreakable.
That's before he got killed?
Died. I said the word unbreakable. I said, it's like our country. No matter what you do, you can't break us.
And that you're unbreakable.
Didn't know it was more to me.
Right.
But the map looked empty.
Right.
And I kept on saying it looks empty. So we said we're going to put flowers inside. And it's exactly like ניתאי's grave, the flowers. But the day that he died, I knew in the morning something wasn't right, but no one told me.
Right.
And I kept on listening to the news and phoning people, and everyone told me, don't be hysterical. And my daughter said to me, it's not his plugat, he's not there, and he wouldn't be in that position. He's just melawim, it's not there. But the whole day I had this terrible, terrible feeling. And until 5:30, only then I knew he was dead, but he died at 8:25 in the morning.
Wow. How do you find purpose and meaning in life after such a tragedy, or is this too early and you're still in the grieving process? Or the meaning of life now is just to commemorate him?
First and foremost, I will always be in grieving. My life will never be the same. I'm not the same person that I was on the 23rd of August. I can laugh, I can joke, but there's an emptiness, and that emptiness will never be filled. And I think that's what a lot of people make mistakes. They go, oh, as time goes by, you're going to be feeling better. No, you're not. You just learn how to live. Me and grief,
with that void.
Me and grief are like friends now.
Right.
And we live together. And it's all right that there's days that I don't want to wake up in the morning and feel bad. And there's days that I feel a bit better. But grief is side by side. And that's how I'm going to live now for the rest of my life. Grief is a part of me. And I read a lot, and I read a lot about grief. And they say that the minute that you accept grief and you don't push it away, that's why I don't take pills. I don't take separate, I don't take nothing, because it doesn't make a difference. I'm not going to put a plaster on something now and feel it in 10 years' time. I go to a psychologist. I talk about it. I talk about him every single day. And
which is your saving grace, because unlike you, there are other people who don't have the ability to open up and feel their emotions, and they do have to take medication, and they have a much harder time. But you have the gift of being open and not afraid of your emotions, and also you talk to people. I talk about him as he's alive. Mm-hmm. I talk about him to everyone I meet. I talk about him, and but it's amazing to see how being able to talk about everything and feel the feelings is such a saving grace. And if you cannot do it, you go into such a dark place.
But I had the option when he died. My daughter, who's please God 22, she was scared that I was going to commit suicide, because I always said that if something happens to my children, I will commit suicide. And the thought of suicide did come into my head. I even planned it out. I'm going to take pills and I'm going to jump off there. And then I thought to myself, hang on, the only thing you've prided yourself all your life is to be a good mother. How can you do that to your 2 children that are here? You will destroy them. And that, like a click went off, and I said, that's it. I gave ניתאי everything, and I have to live for these 2 children, and that's what I'm going to do. Come high or high water, doesn't matter how I feel. I am in pain, but I've got 2 other children that need me.
That's your purpose in life, now, to live for your other 2 kids.
And that's
your responsibility, to be there for them.
100%. They don't have to be a product of, a lot of times, siblings that their brothers or sisters have died. They suffer because their parents just check out, and they're not a part of their lives anymore, and they grieve, and the children feel like this guilt and everything like that. I'm not allowed. When me and my husband got divorced, the same attitude we had when we got divorced was, if we get divorced, it's not our kids' problems. Our kids are not going to be a product of divorce. So we became best friends in order for them to have this good life.
Right.
That the parents can eat on Shabbos and they can go do chagim together. And until now, I go to his family. I'm like so close with his family. They're my family as well. So our children didn't suffer. And the same now, me and Leo, that's what our mission is, to make our 2 remaining children as much as their lives to go on. And
you're talking about all the time how you have all these deficits and how you have all these problems in your personality, but all I see is a woman who is so mature in this way to own up to your emotions and to be responsible towards your kids. You know how many parents don't do that for their children? You know how many parents are closed off and cold, and they let the children suffer from divorce? So you really have to pat yourself on the back for being, just, it's amazing for me to always see that when we are willing to feel our emotions, our feelings, it just changes everything.
Absolutely. You got to embrace, and people mustn't. That's why I always say
most problems are because people don't embrace their emotions.
And people
because
are embarrassed. People are embarrassed.
Shame.
When I took Ceprelex and I was feeling down, I would go to the studio today and say, I didn't take my Ceprelex today. I'm not. I've never had shame of having problems, mental health problems. Never. It doesn't worry me. Like, we all are. I remember always having panic attacks and from fear and anxiety. And one day a very famous doctor turned around to me and said to me, I want to tell you something. I also take Ceprelex. And I thought to myself, he's a famous surgeon and he takes Ceprelex. Who am I? So I go and when people come to me for Pilates and I can see that they're in pain, it's also a way through humor and through doing Pilates and motivation that we mustn't be afraid to show our feelings. And that's what never be afraid. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, no one will judge you. You're the worst judge if you don't allow it.
Well, people don't get that. They, they have so many conditionings and so many fears that they're stuck in their own prisons, and it's not easy to come out and to get to this point. You need to go through a process. What else would you like to talk about, Lara? Is there anything else that's important for you to say, to get off your chest? Is there a message that you want to give the people of Israel that you want people to know? Is it something important? I feel like there's something that you might want to say to people.
The only thing is that I don't want people to wait for it until it's too late.
For what? To enjoy life?
To enjoy life. Eat, drink, laugh. Because you never know that in 2 seconds your whole life changes. Right. And you'll never get back that 5 minutes. Even like when you overworking and you go, oh, I've got such a bad day, I've got so much work. Yalla, work. You got to enjoy that, because I'm living a different life completely now, different rules. So
people feel like they're just never going to die, so they take life for granted. And you're saying that no, life is not forever. It's finite. It can end.
1 second.
So stop wasting it.
Do whatever makes you happy.
Right.
Be with whoever makes you happy and go for it. And if you want to sit at home and do nothing, that's fine. That's your happiness. Do it. You don't live up to anybody else's expectation, and just be good to one another. Right. Like my son said, don't judge. Be good to one another. Let people live. Don't expect what you do to people. Don't expect people to do for you. And once you're happy with yourself, you see the world in a different color.
And why do you think most people don't do what they want to do and don't live the life they want?
Because that's how society pre-plans us. We always have to achieve goals that are sometimes not achievable. We've got standards.
So you're saying that we are programmed by lies, and we're living a lie because we're living for whatever they
if we've got a beautiful house, we want something better. If we got a nice car, we want something better. If we got this, we want something better. But we don't take time to realize that maybe what we've got now is fine. Maybe what we've got right this minute is fine.
And that's how your perspective changed ever since ניתאי's death?
Absolutely.
Or you were not always like that?
No, I was never like that. I was like, always, I've got to get more, I've got to do more, I've got to work. I used to work like 10 hours a day. Now I've cut it down and it's fine. Nothing happens. And if I want to buy something, I will buy it. Not say, oh, maybe not tomorrow. Because we don't know. I'm not saying go mad and go.
ניתאי taught you to appreciate life.
Appreciate life. Yeah, but even when I throw a cup in the street, I used to throw litter, and I know it sounds basic. a cup, and then ניתאי go, Mom, and now I throw it, I go, I'm sorry, and I go and I pick it up. I feel this guilt that I'm littering, because he was so about keeping Israel clean and for the sea and for nature. So little things that I've learned from this child. And the only thing I can say, ניתאי, I'm so grateful, and it was a privilege that you were my son, and a privilege that you're still my son, and may your light and your constant awe be with me and show me the right way, because I live through your eyes.
Amen.
Amen.
And last question, what is your dream?
To be happy, my children, just to be happy and healthy. Don't have any other aspirations more than that.
I hope that happens. Amen.
Mamash, amen. Thank you.
Lera, thank you so much for this conversation. You are a beautiful person, and
Thank you.
I thank you for this conversation.
Thank you for allowing me.
Thank you.